Hi everyone, I'm back this week and I'd like to talk about mail art. Mail art is any art you send through the mail. So I brought a slideshow to show you some examples. So here's a really simple piece of mail art. Someone sent this to the Museum of Modern Art to be included in their archives. And it's just a picture they've collaged onto an envelope. But it can be a simple drawing, it can be anything. So the idea was sort of started by Ray Johnson, who was an artist in New York in the 1950s up until the 90s or so. And he said mail art is not a square, a rectangle, or a photo, or a book, or a slide. It's a river. And I think what he meant by that is it goes from person to person and it meanders. He liked to send pictures, things to people and say, here's a picture. Now you add to it. It says, please add to and return to Ray Johnson. So I think this one was a picture of a head and it didn't have any of this writing or any of the details in it. And his friend Carol here added all this stuff to it and wrote a whole letter and all the details here and sent it back. And sometimes he made an image like the bathtub here. And it was a simple image, and he sent it to someone and said, add something and then send it to someone else. So this one on the left, it's the same image, but flipped the other way. It went through, I think you can read on the bottom, there's at least 4 or 5 people that added to it and kept it going. So one piece of mail went from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, and everybody added something. And that's a type of mail art. They even called it something, they called it the New York Correspondence School, his style of mail art that went through many people. This is an artist called On Kawara, and he sent a postcard to someone every morning, and all it says was, I got up at, and what time they got up that day. And that's another type of mail art. And he sent these postcards for 11 years. That would have been kind of fun to get one of these every day. You can mail anything. I had no idea. This person mailed a mailbox. It was part of a contest with Ripley's Believe It or Not, and you could see what was the most bizarre thing you could mail. Somebody mailed a tree stump. I think that was probably expensive to mail. There were all kinds of things. A mannequin's arm. So apparently you can mail anything. Here's a piece of mail art. I never would have thought that you could mail something like this and it wouldn't fall apart, but it went through. You can see the postmark on there, and that would be a neat thing to get in the mail. So mail art really had a revival this year during the pandemic because everyone's at home feeling a little isolated, a little bit like we miss our friends and our family. So people started making mail art and sending it all around again. And this person, Jason Brown, made a mail art project. And he said, send me mail art about the topic, my view from home. And this person, looks like a kid maybe, sent this mask that they made. It says, Barney was made because he kept me company during COVID-19. And then they just put a stamp on him and sent him. And it went through the mail just fine. Here's another one about my view from home during COVID. It says, Mommy, what are we going to do today? We're going to be still. Okay, I love you. I love you too. And that's from Dean, who's 6 years old and he was stuck at home instead of going to school. And he sent that to his uncle. Here's a fun one about what makes broccoli less broccoli. It's just a collage from a magazine with some art added on top. Here's another magazine collage. Who are you when no one is watching? That's a good question to think about. And she added this on the inside of the envelope, but also decorated the outside of the envelope with all these collages and a little bit of details with pins and sent it in to the mail art project. And he, Jason Brown, donated that whole mail art project to a university when it finished. I like this one because this one says, we still get the newspaper every day. It appears in the driveway every morning. So she cut out all the headlines during the pandemic and collaged them onto the envelope. And this was her mail art. I think this is a really neat one. You can mail a piece of wood. Who knew? I didn't know that. So this person printed a photograph on this piece of wood and stuck a stamp on the back, cost $4.60 to mail, and that was that. This artist did an experiment. She said, I'm going to see what I can mail, the strangest things that I can mail, and if they actually get through the mail system. And almost all of her stuff did. This one was a Ziploc of pencil shavings. Hair mail. This might be my favorite. I don't know if I want to receive that in the mail, but I kind of love this one. So, as you can see, mail art can be anything. It can be a piece of wood. It can be as simple as a drawing on an envelope or a postcard that you make and send to somebody. So, I made this postcard to send to my nephew in New Jersey, who's at home doing distance learning, just like we all are. And I thought this might bring a little surprise to his day. So I collaged a bunch of old artwork on here. So if you have something you don't like, maybe you can cut it up and make it into something you do like. I like this a lot better this way. This is I Am Mail Art. I wrote a message over some drawings on the back that goes all the way around. And on the back, there's some fur I glued on here. It kind of looks like some hair or some grass or something. And some more collage things on here. And it's just a semi-thick, piece of paper or cardboard. It's a little thicker than a piece of paper, but you can do it on anything, whatever you have. One of those thin cardboard boxes. Seems like you can send anything through the mail. So I'm going to send this. I have a stamp on here, but you can drop it off too. You don't have to send it through the postal system. You can drop it off in somebody's mailbox, walk it over somewhere, being socially distant. So I am gonna put this in the mail and try to surprise my nephew. And we'll see what happens. So I would like you to make a piece of mail art. It can be anything. Now you don't have to mail it through the postal system. If you don't have a stamp, that's fine. Drop it off on somebody's porch, stick it in somebody's mailbox in their mail slot. Surprise somebody, bring a little smile to somebody's face today. All right, so like I said, you can use anything. Simplest thing is an envelope, or just cut out a regular piece of paper. The standard postcard size is something like 4 inches by 6 inches. But yeah, I think you can mail anything. Or you could do something like Ray Johnson did and say, take this and add something to it and then pass it on to another friend. Maybe you make something that moves around Alameda to like 6 friends. It's an idea. So I can't wait to hear about what you make and have fun.